Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think that of it, because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass, and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the ghost,
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
Yeah.
You know.
He's like,
he's up there slapping, pissing all over everything.
Is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
That's I know.
Why did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors. All right, everybody, just wrapped up this week's episode with our friends over at Yakoda Supply. They are one of the sponsors of the Shed Fest, and really appreciate those guys jumping on here. This is, I believe, episode 142. Recording this here for you on the 22nd of February, so that if you are putting the date down on paper is 2222, which is pretty wild. So hope you had a good 2222 day, and I'm about ready to pack in and say goodnight, but I appreciate all of you listening. If you have not jumped on and bought your Shed Fest shirt yet, head over to pertnearoutdoors.com, go to shop, and purchase your shirt. You will be entered into the raffle with some great prizes from companies like the folks at Yakoda Supply. You will get a 1-year membership to the Deer Association, and you'll get a pretty badass t-shirt that we just picked up the other day. So Russ knocked this one out of the park. It's an awesome shirt. The design is awesome. The logos and everything looks sweet on the back. So shout out to all of our sponsors and partners that helped us out putting this together and putting together some great prizes. So we'll be I'm shipping them out all week this week, and just trying to dodge the rain and get through these ups and downs of the late winter here in western New York. It seems like it's either 50 and sunny, blowing 50 miles an hour, or it's freezing cold, snowing sideways. Gotta hunker down in the house. So if you can find time in between those changes in weather, get out there and take a walk and see if you can find yourself some sheds. It's man, I'm addicted. If I can find 20 minutes every day, I'm like planning my day around my drive home. What piece of property can I stop and wander around and look for some horns? So if you're not doing it, you should, because it's fun and it's good exercise and gets you off the grid for a little bit. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Join up Shed Fest. Check out Yakoda Supply. These guys are doing some awesome stuff, good people, and I love what they're doing. So thank you. Have a great week, and keep fading them.
Bill?
Yeah, let her rip.
Bill, this is Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Jason's one of the co-founders. He's kind of our business specialty guy. This here's Drew. Drew's our mustache specialty guy.
I see that. Nice.
He does shipping and PR and a lot of different things. You know me.
Yeah.
We got
This is second mustache in command.
Oh yeah, sorry. We got Lincoln. Lincoln is our digital marketing guy.
How you doing?
And we got mustache number 2 over here, Justin.
What's going on?
Designer, marketing, other co-founder.
Nice.
Yeah.
The whole crew.
Yeah. You got the crew.
All of us.
And then there's me. My name is Billy Harvey, so nice to meet all of you guys. I'm sure.
I described you as you were a pitcher with us in college, and then you married our other college roommate's sister.
Yeah. Kind of weird, right?
That's cool.
It's the way it works. So I wanted to get you guys on here. Rob and I, kind of Rob and I's background, longtime friends, and you guys were generous enough to support us with our Shed Fest that we're doing right now. So I wanted to. Rob and I have been talking about getting you guys on here anyway. I kind of like to expose our listeners and our community to your guys' product as it's a emerging company, and think you guys are doing some great things. So thank you for hopping on here with us tonight, and look forward to kind of learn a little bit about the company and what you guys are doing and what your aspirations are as you begin to grow the business. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Bill.
No problem. Well, why don't we start out with kind of where it began? I guess I'm interested to hear. Rob's told me the stories as we've taken our long 6-hour hikes up into the mountains, and it all kind of runs together. So I know he was involved with you guys, fishing and stuff. But I guess kind of give me kind of the rundown of why the company got started. I kind of gather that Jason and Justin were kind of the brains behind that, or you guys kind of had a desire to start making some of your own products. So I guess kind of give us a rundown of what Yakoda is all about and how you began to start a company.
Well, Justin and I met on a fishing trip and up to Wyoming, and had a great time. Spent a few days out in the field, catching a bunch of fish, having a lot of laughs. And when that trip ended, we came back to Boulder, which is where we're both from, and continued to hang out and fish together. And as more time passed, we wound up going on more and more trips. And there was, one trip in particular where we started expressing some ideas for product ideas that we had. And there was just that moment where we kind of looked at each other, and maybe it was somewhat unspoken, but it was definitely that moment where let's maybe try and do something here. And that's really how Yakoda was born. The first product was Justin's idea. And that was our Yakoda gear transport bag, which is basically a large carry-all bag that, since most people fish out of their house and use their car, to get to and fro from the water, it's a great product for, people that are staging from home, which is pretty much 99% of the anglers out there.
Yeah, and I know, looking at your website, I was just looking at, kind of your About Us tab there, and I think you totally nailed it. I think so much gear and equipment that we all use, whether it is fishing or hunting or anything like that, it is a lot of it's over-engineered. You're looking at equipment that's made to go and withstand these massive trips, or real complicated equipment. At the end of the day, you just need a bulletproof bag that you can put your gear in to head up, just run up into the mountains for a few hours and fish. So I read that, kind of blurb there in the About Us, and I'm like, it's spot on, because we certainly see it in the hunting side of things, that equipment sometimes is just way overthought. It just needs to be functional and tough and something that you can use when you're out there beating it up, trip after trip, not necessarily something that's super high tech and, straps everywhere and bungee cords and all this different stuff that can get tangled up, especially when you're with fly fishing equipment, because Rob can attest I am an awful fly fisherman, and I hate it when there's just too much stuff going on because everything's getting tangled up. So yeah, that's kind of a cool revelation there. And so that's where it all kind of did you guys have product experience? Did you run businesses prior? Or did you have experience in bringing products to market?
No.
So that must have been a challenge.
We both have pretty different backgrounds, but one thing that has become a strong suit for Yakoda as a brand is that each person that's involved with it has a very unique skill set, and we make a great team together. And that's honestly what's most important about why things work. We're able to do things pretty lean with less bodies, but because of each person's expertise, we can get an incredible amount of work done. But everything's been learned along the course of the way. And sometimes it's been challenging and sometimes it's been easy, but it's definitely been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So what's it been? I'm trying to think, because Rob's been talking about the company for, I want to say 4 or 5 years. Have you guys, has it been that long, 4 or 5 years or longer since you got kind of started getting this thing rolling?
Yeah, we're in our 5th year. So in 2017 is when Jason and I met. And like you said, pretty soon after we were working on the bag. So it's gone by quickly, but yeah, going on 5 years now.
time flies when you're having fun, isn't it? And I think you guys were probably burning the midnight oil, right? Because I think Rob, you told me you're now full time. This is kind of your main focus, right? So, you guys are all probably doing something else, and then this was your evening hustle to with a passion to build this company, correct?
Yeah, well, and most of the crew still is. We all had full-time gigs on the side. I'm really the only full-time one right now. So it's been a mix, and we were pretty much putting everything back into the business, and seeing where and what we could do with it, and it's been a lot of fun in the process. And so actually the way that I met these guys, Billy, was I just reached out to them on Instagram, and at the time I think they had the gear transport and a fly tin.
And foam
they
trucker.
just come out with a foam trucker hat. So
yep, I remember that.
Foam trucker hat and a fly tin. I took like 200 photos of each of them and sent them to them, and they were like, "Holy shit, let's go fishing sometime."
Yeah. Well, it's just so classic you, Rob, because all due respect to you, we've been friends for a long time, and it's like, here's another one of Rob's big ideas. He's gonna get hooked up with this company and make it a career. I'm like, yeah, no, go ahead, buddy, go get it, because I can't. That's the lifestyle I have. I can't do that, But that's one of the things I admire about you, Rob, and it seems like a lot of you guys are kind of, put together the same way that you're very like free thinking, and you want to kind of follow your passions and figure out a way to make your life, not work for life, let life work for you, if that makes sense. And I admire the hell out of that, out of you, Rob. And I'm super happy for you to be, doing this now and having this be your full-time focus. And, the products, it's been fun to see the products evolve. Rob hooked me up with a few things on the trip. Each year I was coming out to Colorado a couple times a year to see my brother-in-law, and we'd go fishing. And each time, Rob would have a couple extra things or new things that he had that he was using, first being the tote, and then I think the tote comes with the little pad there that you can put your boots on and stuff, which is just like a brilliant thing. And ironically, like in the hunting market, like that's a huge thing. Like so many of us are hunting out of our vehicles, and you pull up to your spot and you want to put your pants on and you got to put your boots on. And it's the same problem. It's like, what do? You're trying to stand on the lid of your Rubbermaid tote, and then you crack your lid of your tote. So it's like something as simple as that is such a perfect little product, but then seeing it evolve in some of the new stuff that you guys have come out with, so how, I guess, where has it come from the bag, and now you're, you like you said, you're doing the tins, but now you're even coming out with some other soft goods, and then kind of going into, you even have flies now too. So I guess the evolution of the product going from the tote, getting into tins, and then as it's kind of started to develop. So kind of run us through that.
I think, going back to the tote, which obviously is our flagship product, the one thing that you've recognized in it that we haven't talked about is its utility. In fact, when you start looking at our gear on the website and understand the mindset that we utilize to create our products, everything is very simple, very functional, and meant to be utilitarian so that anyone can use it for any sort of endeavor. You definitely see that with the gear transport. I mean, you can use that for hunting, as you said. We can use it for fishing. People love skiing with those as well. It's really up to the user how you use them. So it's hard, surprisingly, to make simple products, but there's enough over-engineered stuff out there which inflates pricing. And that's one of the reasons why we've chosen to stitch locally and source American-made materials, because we're not having to deal with, the mess that is happening overseas or at the ports. And it's nice to be able to keep things as local as possible.
Yeah, so that's one thing I should mention to you also, Bill, is all of our bags, all of our soft goods, we use a lot of the similar materials, but it's all sourced in America, made in America. Like Jason said, most of our stuff is sewn like 15 minutes from us. So, we can drive right up the road, and it's a simple process. And we have a lot of people that kind of help in the process also, so we can be hands-on. And, when we're in product development and testing stuff out, we have some good minds aside from just us that have their own level of expertise that help out a lot.
Yeah, and I think you just hit on it. But I mean, what does it mean to you guys, in the day and age that we're in, to say that you have, a good portion of your product is American made and made right locally in the city that you guys are based in? What does that mean to you guys as a business?
I think we just really, from a practical standpoint, like Rob said, it's really convenient, and sort of makes the product development process a lot easier. We're not sitting around waiting for a sample of a product to come from overseas, getting held up and stuff like that. But I mean, the people that we've found are people that have been working locally doing this stuff for a long time, and so yeah, it's nice just to keep it close by, and support people in the community really, and to realize that there are still people doing that kind of stuff here. I think it'll be interesting as we scale the business to try to keep that process intact. We are familiar with and friends with some people who are a little bit further along, building companies like this in the outdoor industry, and you always come to a point where you have to make some hard decisions. But as far as things are trending right now, we hope that we can kind of grow that part of the business and keep scaling without having to make too many compromises along the way. And then to realize that there's some really incredible materials that are made in the U.S. if you keep things simple. We use a lot of X-Pack, which is like a material that's pretty popular with the lightweight backpacking crowd, and it's actually like a sailcloth, but it's this really incredible 4-ply waterproof material that can hold its own against any other material that comes from overseas, and it's made on the East Coast, and it's been easy to continue to get our hands on that stuff because it's not stuck, to Jason's point, in a container ship off the coast somewhere. So
yeah.
To add on to that, I'd also say we're incredibly proud to do everything inside the United States as much as we possibly can, and locally, of course.
Yeah, it's just there's so many good things that come away from it, and the ability to just develop product and see things quickly and go put your hands on it, be part of that process, like almost as live as you want to, if you want to go over there and see how they're stitching it together and how it's coming together. It's invaluable. And I'll tell you, you talk about the utility of the product, and I kind of sometimes forget that too, but you're spot on. I mean, I've got, Rob hooked me up with I got the boot laces. I put them on my hunting boots. They're incredible. Rob's telling me these are the best boot laces ever. And I'm like, yeah, okay, same thing, and they are. They're unbelievable boot laces. I wore them. I probably walked several hundred miles in them in my boots and never had to retie my laces, while I was walking. They never snagged on nothing. They're incredible. It's a great product. And then he hooked me up with the utility wallet and the pouch. And like, you wouldn't think that it's a like a really handy thing to have, but you take that wallet, you put all your licenses, pens, zip ties, stuff that you want to keep kind of out of the elements and away from, getting scratched or anything on them. It's such a neat little thing. So I sent him pictures. I had all my hunting tags and my license and everything right in there. I put anything that's valuable while I'm out, put it right in there. You can clip it right inside of your backpack on one of those little hooks, and you're good to go. So I think there's a huge market for you in the hunting industry that you guys can tap into with products like that, because they're super simple. Like, you don't see the other, whether it's camouflage companies or even some of the backpack companies, they don't necessarily have those simple little products that can add on to your system. That's not what they do, but it's a very, niche, neat little market that is pretty awesome. So those products, as you continue to build them out, I'm thinking and you probably are finding a lot of different areas that they apply, and, where products cross over from one hobby, field, or interest, or just lifestyle to another.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, when you think about it, like, everyone likes being organized, and for fly fishing, like, there's so many different tools, so many different gear that you can kind of get inundated with, and it's nice to step back and simplify your setup. And it's cool to hear, that you're using a product that we would normally use for fishing, for hunting, but it's used in the same way. Like, we store our fishing license in there. We put, our leaders, we put our indicators in the mesh pocket on the outside. But, again, just it's up to the user how they want to use it. Stuff's built to last, man. It's really beautifully built as well.
A lot of the way these guys have tried to design things also is as a modular system, though, which, I know the hunting industry as good as anybody. And, it's really nice to be able to kind of customize and build out your own system and, get organized in your own ways. And once you get to that point where you're really dialed in, like, I know you're a huge Kafaro fan kind of for that reason, because you can make it modular, you can make it your own. And be smart about it. And I think that's one place where we definitely have the ability to branch out a little bit. Obviously we're mostly focused in the fly fishing industry right now, but I think people like you and little outlets like you are a great voice for us in different industries, and it's a cool way to kind of break into another area.
Yeah, for sure. Rob, tell us all about the boot laces, because you just love your boot laces. And I know how I talk about how great they are, but give us the science behind the boot lace.
Well, so the boot laces are a flat lace, for one. They're coreless also. So a big difference in them is most boot laces have a core in them. What winds up happening is you have a couple different tensile strengths. You pull them over time, they create hot spots and they rip. And then kind of the classic thing was the boot lace everybody's seen is the aglets, which is the end of the lace, tends to fray. Most of the time it's basically like a heat wrapped little plastic seal on there, which if you're out doing hundreds of miles on your boots, like that just doesn't cut it. So, that was actually Justin knew a guy who kind of shared that secret with him and allowed him to start making them. And so we put metal aglets on the end. And once again, we source those here in the U.S. We make them right here in the office. So we're pounding out hundreds of pairs of laces and, still doing all that ourselves. And it's kind of fun to be able to do also because we get a lot of people that put them in one pair of boots and they love them and they want a custom size. And it's like, we can make you a custom size because we cut them by hand. We do them right here. We don't have to worry about trying to order overseas or make some special order on our behalf. It's like we walk in the next room, we cut a pair, we tamp them, put them in the mail, and they're gone. And so, it's a cool way to do it. And that's one of the products that, we stand by all our products, but those boot laces you really can't beat. And, I've had them in my hunting boots. I'll have them hiking boots, got them in rollerblades, hockey skates. Like you can put them in anything. Snowboard boots, they're going to outlast anything. And that's also one nice thing. Like think about when you're 7.5 miles out in the backcountry, you break a boot lace, you're about shit out of luck.
Yeah.
And, you're trying to tie them together and jerry rig your system so that they work. But if you have a pair of laces that you can really depend on, that's one less thing that you got to worry about when you're out there.
Right. And, that having that flat lace, I was blown away how it's such a simple thing when you think about it, but it slides so nicely through the eyelets of your boots. You can get everything so much tighter. Snowboard boots has got to work awesome because you can just reef those things down as tight as you want and get them in there. But so if I had the story right, you guys prior to having the laces made so that they were just coming to you, you were actually getting the lace and you were pulling the core out of it, correct?
We did start there.
I've heard those war stories. Yeah.
Yeah. So, getting a lot of lace and literally ripping the core out of it until we found somebody that could produce it without the core. So, and, that kind of shows the dedication is like, we don't always have the best answer right away, but we try to find it. And, we've kind of built that into a product that, like I said, we stand behind through and through. And the more people put them in their boots, the more people we have that come back and like them. And it's also a really cool product because it's a low barrier to entry. You can get in our laces for $10. Like you said, they'll last you pretty much forever. And, it's kind of a good staple in our product offering that shows people like, okay, they make some simple stuff, but if it's badass enough to last through hundreds of miles of a total beating, it's pretty good. So, that's kind of where we get people to test the waters a little bit with some more of our products, and we stand behind everything. So, we make sure that we take care of people. And I think that's a really important thing that a lot of companies don't necessarily focus on anymore these days.
Amen to that. So as you guys, you've moved into the soft goods, you're doing that. You've had the apparel all along. Pretty much anybody like yourselves that has a business of that end, you got to have the hats and the shirts and the hoodies and stuff to go along with it. But flies is something that Rob was telling me this past fall when I was out there. You guys have gotten into, really selling commercially. And I was kind of thinking that was a main part of your business, but Rob was telling me today that that's not really your primary focus. But how much work is that? Are you guys making those flies, or is that something that you guys are doing internally, or do you have other people helping you with that?
So we have a partnership with Montana Fly Company, or otherwise known as MFC. The patterns that are on the website are patterns that I had been tying for a long time. We first started with a couple of patterns and having some local tires whipped those up for us, and we put them on the website, like a pattern at a time. And we were so blown away by the overwhelming response of people wanting those patterns that it became logistically incredibly challenging to continue to work with local tires because they couldn't keep up and we couldn't keep up. I mean, I was tying flies, they were tying flies, and it was just, we're packing 3 packs of these things. It feels like we were selling drugs. They're going out in like little dime bag style, Ziplocs. And I wound up making calls around the country to basically every fly manufacturer that was out there, and pitched MFC on this idea that we had for our line of flies, which will continue to grow. We've got another 8 or so patterns coming out in the next couple of months. But they're designed to catch fish. They've always caught fish. They've gotten refined over time. And, the most important thing for making someone's day on the water is a fly that gets stuck in a fish's lip, So that relationship with MFC has opened up a lot of opportunities for us. When Justin and I started the company, although we had fly supply in our logo, we never thought that we would be doing anything with flies. But that one kind of like shot in the dark of putting a pattern on there, which was the hot wire pheasant tail, which was our first pattern that we had, morphed into something bigger than we foresaw. And honestly, it's been great. We get such incredible feedback from people messaging us either when they place an order or sending us a message through Instagram with, flies in fish's mouths, like just letting us know like what a game changer a particular pattern's been for them or how it's worked for them. And like to feel the contentment and happiness that they're getting out of a bug is pretty incredible. It's really rewarding.
I would imagine, and it's really cool to hear how that's developed for you guys and how it wasn't necessarily something that you foresaw taking off the way it does. But it's like I'm just on your website, so you guys have a quarterly. Do you still do that? Is that a thing? The tin subscription?
Yeah, you caught us on a Tuesday night where we're packing out a bunch of those to send out to people for the spring 22 bucks.
Yeah, so talk about that, because that's really cool. I didn't know you guys were doing that. So that's something that I feel like, these tins, these boxes, these different, packs, these subscription things, they're awesome. If you're an outdoorsman, and regardless of what it is that you're into, to get like fresh stuff consistently, whether it's, backcountry meals and snacks, stuff like, I don't know, Backcountry Box or whatever, those companies do that. But like, that's really cool that you're sending out, new product on a quarterly basis. So talk about that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so on the fly front, one of the other things that's notable also is, for a guy like yourself, Billy, you come out to Colorado a couple times a year, you go to a fly shop and there's 1,000 cups in front of you with 1,000 bugs that you know nothing about. Kind of the way that we've approached it is, for the most part, across pretty much the entire world, you could fish probably the same 10, 12 patterns and you'll catch fish everywhere. And, having 100 versions of a different little fly isn't necessarily what we want. We want you to be able to simplify and, find the bugs that are really right for you. And so with the quarterly fly tin, we kind of built off of that. So the quarterly fly tin, basically, as it says, it's shipped to you quarterly. We select those all based on seasonality. So they're, picked for the time of year. Like I said, they can pretty much fish anywhere. And so those boxes we put 20 flies into, they go into one of our fly tins. And then they're shipped out every quarter. You get free shipping with the subscription. And like you said, it's just a really nice way. Like, people don't have to go to the fly shop and kind of face that intimidating factor of picking out a bunch of flies and grabbing the wrong flies or grabbing one of each. And then you lose the one that you wanted to have and you don't have that. And, it's a nice way to do that. And then it's also a really cool way for us to help educate people. So, we try to put out enough information to help new anglers, whether you're new or old. It's really nice to have some information on the flies you're using and how to fish them and, how you can be successful with them and kind of simplify your system all around like most of our other stuff does.
Yeah. And that's what's so cool about what, the soft goods side is one thing, and people can reach out to you. It's, it's a small business. You guys are all like very intimately involved with your product. So people can reach out to you guys through social media and find out exactly like what you're using, what your thoughts are, what they might need. But like the whole, like the fly side of it is like the whole other side. You know, you go to, when you're doing certain types of, whether it's certain types of fishing or hunting, you kind of can get a lot of like information just online if you're looking, or through magazines, or like talking to maybe people you know. But when it comes to like fly fishing, is me getting into it, my experience with fly fishing has been like 90% with Rob. And I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I'm looking to him for like, here's somebody who has experience. What should I use today? Like we walk into a fly shop, like you said, and you're saying, okay, get this, get this, get this. So like, it's really that, you know, you guys are so in touch with what's going on, and you're putting these packs together, which is great. And it's cool that you're saying that this is kind of not just for your local streams there in Colorado, that this is stuff that really seasonally should work around many parts of the world. And, you know, if we're just talking about the US, should work well. But like we just had a message come through here on Bullhorn, and Joe was asking, you know, what type of fly would you run on the Salmon River? And Rob, that's kind of, you know, our home turf back here. Is there any specific type of fly you guys would recommend for some of those bigger water, you know, tributaries?
Yeah, definitely. So one of the patterns that we have that's kind of a staple is the Cdc Stone Fly. So, you know, Stone Fly is extremely universal. I would say they're pretty much everywhere in the world in any fresh waters. Stone flies are also in the water systems year round. So, you know, it's a really good pattern for that. But then for those, you know, New York waterways, it's nice to have added weight. So all of our flies have tungsten heads, which tungsten is kind of the top dollar item. It's the densest, fastest sinking head that you can possibly have on a fly. So, you know, those would work really well. We have them in brown, black, or golden, which, you know, kind of relates to whatever bugs are local in your waterways. But that one would definitely be right at the top of the list. And then, you know, most of them are, like I said, they're kind of generic. You know, we have a couple of bugs that have a lot of flash, which tends to be favorable for a lot of fish, especially in New York. You know, I know all of these would fish pretty well. And our jig patterns are, like I said, the tungsten heads get them down. They get them down deep in the water column. And kind of no matter what your style is, you can morph your rig to fit the waterway that you're in and fit the fish that you're trying to catch.
I love it. And that's the thing. If people got questions, they can reach directly out to any of you guys. But you know, Rob, you're my fishing guy. But hey, Jason, you're the trout and tequila guy, right? That's your Instagram name, is that right?
Yeah.
Two things. One thing that I love tequila. So what's the trout and tequila? Where does that come from?
I always have a flask of tequila with me.
Nice.
And it just happens to get pulled up pretty often when we're trout fishing. So
yeah, that'll happen. What's your poison? What's your favorite tequila?
Oh man. Honestly, there's this stuff that is called Hacienda de Chihuahua is the manufacturer. And it's a Sotol, and it's cheap, but it's incredible. And Sotol is like a mix between a mezcal and a tequila. It's actually a bit smoother than both of those, which is why I enjoy it. It doesn't really have a harsh bite to it. Mm-hmm. But like $35 on a bottle, and it drinks like something that's like $60. So it's definitely worth it.
That's the dog one, the Chihuahua de Hacienda, or the other way around?
Hacienda de Chihuahua.
Yeah. Donde está la biblioteca? Yeah. Where's the library?
Check it out. The reposado or the añejo.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what you just said, but I love tacos too.
You're welcome.
Denver tacos. It's like my favorite place on earth is just going to Denver. And have you been to Pinche Tacos, please? Anybody?
I think I've hit Pinche.
Okay.
Definitely a Pinche guy.
None of you guys have really been though? Only a couple of you?
We got a lot of taco shops out here, Bill.
You got to go. Donnie, that's like a place that we just, each time, if we could go, we were going. Awesome tacos. Maybe there's just better places, and I just love the name of the place. It just was like a...
We'll have to look it up now. That's good.
The best taco shops are the ones that are food trucks, it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely popular. We don't do a lot of food trucks here in Western New York. It's just either snowing or windy, and it just sucks to be outside trying to eat your food. So, Yeah, that place is over by near where they lived in their first, when Donnie was in his first house over there, whatever, Cheeseman area.
Yeah.
Check it out. So I guess kind of rounding it out, what are some of the opportunities and things that you guys are looking at on the horizon for the business? Anything you're working on, anything to kind of share with the listeners of stuff for them to check out, or things that you think are maybe overlooked goods?
We're pretty excited about a new space that we're building out in Louisville, Colorado, which is just the next town over from Boulder here. It'll actually put us in between Boulder, where we've been headquartered, and Lafayette, where all of our stuff is made, and where our t-shirts are screen printed and stuff. So we'll have a lot more space to do, just to run a business. And then we'll also have a small retail shop that people can come and see the products in person, kind of hang out, ask questions, learn more about what we're up to. So if anyone's going to be in the area, as early as late spring, early summer, we should be up and running and able to have people stop by, which has been, I think for us, we were just at the fly fishing show in Denver, which is a big event that hadn't happened in a couple of years because of COVID. And it was just super cool to actually connect with people in person and meet people who, maybe we had talked to online, or who had bought stuff from us, but that we'd never actually gotten to meet. And to realize there's people out there that are, legitimately excited about what we're up to and curious about what's coming next was really cool. So we're looking forward to meeting more people. And I think we're really focused on that modular system and how we can keep building products that kind of go together, where you can buy one or many of them and get, a lot of practical use out of it. So we've got some ideas for how to keep extending that system, and more ideas for flies, and lots of cool stuff coming with apparel, graphics and stuff, which people are into, like you said. So yeah, lots of fun stuff on the horizon.
Yeah, that's one cool thing. So Justin does most of our design. He's obviously really talented himself, but he also does a good job at collaborating with other artists. We utilize a lot of other artists. So most of our apparel and stickers and kind of all our branded out stuff is stuff that same thing has kind of come from, smaller local artists, and we try to support the people around us. And it's led to a very unique collection of stuff also, which is really cool. And like he said, like at the fly fishing show, it was really cool because we had people popping up like, "Hey man, I'm Tyler. I've ordered like 15 things from you guys."
Right.
And we're like, "Oh, sweet, you're Tyler." And we ship everything out on our own too. So we've all kind of handled shipping at different points in times. Like now Drew is really our head shipping guy. And it's really funny because people are like, they say, "Who are you?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm Drew." And they're like, "Oh, I got a handwritten note from you the other day." So yeah, it's a fun thing. And that's something that, being an e-commerce business, you don't get that face-to-face very much. So it was very enlightening, I would say, to see that, and then also to be able to be in front of new eyes and kind of show people. And there was a lot of people there that walk up and see the gear transport and say, "Okay, what's the deal with this bag? Why should I buy this bag?" And to get an opportunity to let people put their hands on things and get a better feel for what we're about and who we are, and put a face to the product is a really cool thing. So I think we all had a fun times. Like conventions are, as good as anybody. It's like hunting convention season is a crazy season. It's the same way in fishing, and we just have one more for the year. So we have the B2B, which is IFTD, which is out in Salt Lake, where a lot of the hunting ones are. So we've got one more to go, but it was really cool. And we had been trying to get there for 2 years, and it just didn't happen because it kept getting canceled. And they finally were able to make it happen this year, and we were really happy to be a part of it. It was a cool event to be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, what was the vibe of the show? We went to the I went to the outdoor show in Syracuse, and it was the first show that New York has had in a couple of years. And same thing, it was so nice to be back. And I was in the booth with the guys from the Hunt Works, and it's just like, just finally getting back to like the human face-to-face, smiling at people, telling stories. You could just tell that people are just like ready to just like get back to that face-to-face interaction. Like there's so much value, obviously, in having an e-commerce site and doing business that way, but there's just like zero replacement for the face-to-face interaction, the relationships you can build, and just like the excitement of being somebody who has a product to sell, standing in front of a potential customer. Like there's nothing that gets your blood flowing more than like standing there trying to sell a product or sell yourself to somebody and why they should use your goods. So what was the vibe of that show? Was there a pretty good attendance of both vendors and patrons?
Yeah, it was great to see people. I think everyone was excited to be out, just like what you're saying. We were certainly excited to be there. We had tons of people that have bought from us from the website come by and check in with us at the booth, and it was great, like Rob said, to put a lot of faces with the names that we've been seeing come across, through the orders. We did get to meet a number of other fly shops in the area that we hadn't connected with before. We also got to connect with some other large retailers as well, that things are kind of happening pretty quick on that front. So all in all, like, just great to be out and kind of living again, which I think we've all missed, the ability to, connect and see each other's faces. So
yeah, thank God that we all have the passions and the hobbies for the outdoors, because man, if like your thing was to like go to bars and like socialize and go to like, could you imagine? Like, I mean, maybe some of you guys, that's how but for me, it's like my life. I just love being outside and love going and doing stuff. I don't need to be with people. So, this has sucked, but it's been, like I can get through it, but people that depend on that, that lifestyle, I'm so glad I'm not a college kid and trying to find a woman like Judas Priest. That'd be awful. I mean, the game has just got to be so messed up right now. Those poor kids out there. So you just kind of hit on, I guess I'm curious, 'cause I saw, retailers on your website. Are you guys in some physical fly shops, in stores, storefronts like that anywhere around? Is it just kind of local there, or are you branching out into other states?
No, we're in at least 70 other fly shops across the country right now. And then we're in one large big box retailer called Sportsman's Warehouse. We're in 40 different doors there. And now we have another relationship that we're developing here with another retailer that's local to Colorado and a couple other states. And I'm not going to say much else on that at this point, but we'll see how that evolves.
Very cool. I love it. I love to see the business growing. It's great to hear that you guys are having success, and most importantly, I just want to say thank you guys for supporting us with the Shed Fest. And I know it doesn't directly align with your, with the fly fishing business, but I think there's a lot of crossover, like we talked about in here. And we're not just into hunting; we're into all things outdoors. So I think a lot of the people that listen to our show and enjoy our entertainment, I think they'll really enjoy learning about your product and hopefully get you guys some new customers. So thank you for partnering and working with us on this. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
I should have jumped in last year when it was a competition, Bill, because I think I could have won.
I think so too. Yeah, that you had quite the little journey there this weekend. It's not even fair. I mean, you walked a lot of miles.
That's why I didn't get in the competition last year. You said anywhere in the country. I was like, this is not anywhere, Bill.
Yeah. Well, I packaged your shirt last night, so I wrote you a cute little love note in there. I'm the shipper and the receiver and the talker. Yeah, I do it all.
Yeah.
It is funny how you see, like, so this is our second year doing that, and I don't sell a ton of stuff other than, it's mainly just the podcast. We've been doing this thing for the second year, but you start to see names consistently, and you like build friendships with the people that are your customers or your listeners or whatever that relationship is. So it is really cool. As I guess once things start to get so big to the point where things just get kind of out of control and you can't keep track of those small relationships, but that's a message out there to people that engage with these guys now, because they're small and they'll remember you when they're packaging your product, and before they get so big that they don't even care about us little guys.
Nah, we're not going to change the way that we do business. We enjoy connecting with people, and the personal touch makes a big difference for us, and it makes a big difference for our customers. So why change that?
I threw you a softball there. You guys crushed it. Nice job. So, all right, boys, I'll let you get back to business. I know you got a lot to get done tonight, so I appreciate you hopping on here with us, and good luck. Keep growing. Keep working hard.
Thanks, man.
Keep feeding them, Bill.
Keep feeding them. See ya. Don't feed too much tequila. You'll tip over sideways.
Yeah, be careful.
All right, see ya. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bill. See ya. Later.
See ya.